Intuitive eating for busy people. How you can make it work in even a few minutes a day. Whenever I try to tell people about how they should spend their energy on eating more intuitively and more mindfully, one of the main aspects that comes up is that they are too busy. Yeah, I get it. If you're busy, you're already pulled in like 1,000 different directions. You don't want to add on top of that something that you feel is going to take up even more of your precious time. But the thing with intuitive eating is that I think it's actually good for busy people. Okay, so I do get that the process may be a little time consuming. Okay, fine. However, the end goal, the end result is actually for you to be able to save a bunch of time in the long run, because you're not going to be wasting all this energy and brain space thinking about what you should be eating, if you should be eating that or why not, like the guilt around food that you're eating or like all the planning. So yes, it is going to require a little bit of time, but again, you don't have to see it as this huge overwhelming thing that you have to dedicate hours and hours to every day. You can do tasks that are going to help you with intuitive eating in only a few minutes a day. And so today I'm gonna give you 8 ways to do that. Number 1, free up some brain space by ditching the food rules. So if you have a bunch of diet rules like I can't eat carbs past a certain time, or I need to be skipping breakfast, or I shouldn't mix these two foods together, it's taking up a lot of space and a lot of time to constantly be thinking about these things. So do yourself a favor and stop doing that. You really need to work on giving yourself permission to eat all foods, any type of foods, and at all time. Like there's not a time where you are allowed to eat a specific food, but at another time you can't eat that food. You really need to work on opening up your mind to all the different types of foods that you're actually allowed and able to eat, and that you are able and allowed to eat this food at any time of the day that you feel like it. If you stop basing what you eat off of outside rules and you just erase all these rules completely, you're gonna have way more energy to tune into what your own body is telling you, and that's not gonna cost brain space because it's going to be more intuitive. Number 2, plan for hunger before it hits. Intuitive eating is just not possible if you are starving. If you wait too long in between your meals, then it's going to be really hard to listen to what your body is telling you and to base your decisions on your own hunger and fullness signals and cravings and things like that, because you're just going to be so ravenous. You're going to have this like primal instinct that is just going to get you to eat the thing that is going to give you the most energy in the most direct way. So often not the healthiest foods. So you need to try to prevent that. You can do that by making sure that the meals that you do have are filling enough and that you eat in a way that's going to satisfy you for longer so that you don't get too hungry in between your meals. Also, you can keep some easy snacks on hand that you can grab on the go, like a piece of fruit, some nuts, a protein bar, or whatever kind of little treat that you like that you can have on hand. Because both listening to your hunger cues and listening to your fullness cues are of utmost importance when it comes to eating intuitively, but you need to put yourself in the best dispositions to be able to do that. Because remember, listening to hunger is the only way to also listen to your fullness, because there's no way that you're going to stop eating past fullness if you're not eating when you're hungry. You can't listen to your body like when you feel like it. It's either you always listen to your hunger fullness cues or you're not going to be able to listen ever. Number 3, use micro moments for mindful eating. So there's this misconception that if you want to eat mindfully, it's going to take you like 1 hour of completely undistracted time where you are solely focused on your meal. And yeah, that's great, but that's not always possible. And if it's not, there's still some things that you can do. It's better to have a short period where you're eating a meal, where you're completely focused on that meal, rather than having a way more extended period where you're being distracted all the time. So if you only have 5 minutes, make those 5 minutes count. Check in with yourself before your meal in order to see how you're doing, how you situate yourself on the hunger fullness scale. That will take like less than 30 seconds. And then try to have at least the first few bites be very mindful of your food, so you can take the first bite and then think about the different textures and flavors and taste and all of that, and appreciate that. And when you're almost done with your meal, take a little break, maybe a few seconds. Again, position yourself on that scale. Do you feel like you really want to finish your meal, or are you full? Do you feel like you want to eat more because you're still hungry? With mindfulness, when you're eating, every bit counts. Again, it's okay if you're only doing a few minutes here and there of undisturbed time focusing on your meal and on your sensations. That's already good, a good step. And the more you do these things, the quicker you'll be able to do them, and that way you'll be able to do more of these little mindful acts in a shorter amount of time. Number 4, you really need to keep the guilt off your plate. Oftentimes there is this vicious cycle when you are busy, and that is that you're gonna turn to foods that are a little bit more convenient because you don't have the time to whip up this 4-course homemade meal and spend 2 hours eating it. But as you eat these convenient foods, you're going to feel guilt for them. You're going to tell yourself that it's bad, that you shouldn't be eating that. And that is going to cost energy. You're going to add unnecessary stress. You might get into the all or nothing mentality. So what you're thinking, well, I had this convenient food today, so tomorrow I'm just going to skip the meal to compensate. Then that's going to fuel restriction, then binge eating, and then more guilt, more accumulation of your precious time that is going to be wasted dealing with the aftermath of just a normal occurrence, which is you having to sometimes eat foods that are more convenient. So it's good to really try to reframe this really quickly when it happens, and to tell yourself that you are doing the best you can in that situation, that it's always much better for your body to eat a meal that is maybe like fast food that's more convenient than it is to skip that meal. Because by eating that meal, you are honoring your hunger, which is one of the principles of intuitive eating. And so now you have some energy freed up if you're able to do that, and the energy you can use to actually try to plan your meals a bit more so that you don't have to rely on convenience food as much. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Number 5, work on your emotional eating gently. So emotional eating isn't bad. What can be bothersome is if you're always turning to food to cope with your emotions without even thinking. Like it's your default way of coping with things. What's really good is to learn to listen to your emotions, and then it's also good to find different ways to deal with them other than food, beyond food. Food can be one of them, but it shouldn't be the default way. So I really recommend that you make a little activity list. Again, this can only take you 5 to 10 minutes. You make your list of all the things that you enjoy doing, and you can even write like, okay, when I'm feeling this way, I like to do this. This makes me feel better. And make your little list. And so when the time comes that you want to eat emotionally, just make sure first to identify your emotion, and then try to find an activity on your list that could potentially help you deal with that emotion. And then if that doesn't work, you can turn to food. That's okay. But that way you don't do it in like an automatic compulsion way. You do it in a, okay, I've tried to do other things. It didn't work, so I'm doing this. Number 6, you can build a flexible, busy day menu. So I'm not saying that you should meal prep. That kind of is a little bit against intuitive eating, just in the sense that if you prep the same meal every single day, chances are you're not really going to want to eat that, and so it's going to be hard to actually listen to yourself when you are craving something or not craving it. But meal prepping is a way for busy people to be able to eat in a healthy way. So we still need to kind of incorporate that, but we can do it in a way that's a little bit more flexible. So the idea would be for you to prep parts of a meal, like you can prep different grains, you can prep different veggies, different sources of protein, and just have different combinations available that you can kind of mix and match depending on what your body is feeling, what you are wanting to eat, and what you're intuitively going for. I would also recommend that you have a few like super easy meals that are always ready to be thrown together in your fridge. You can have like a bag of mixed greens with some cherry tomatoes and like a block of feta cheese. Then you can add some olive oil, a slice of whole grain bread, and just throw all of that together for a nice salad. Or you can just boil some like whole wheat pasta, get a jar of veggies and a little can of tomato sauce, and then mix that together. And you can also crumble some tofu that's already like pre-cooked, or you can open like a can of tuna or something. And so if you're feeling more like you want something comforting and hearty, you can have the second option. If you're feeling like you want something lighter and fresher, you can have the first option, and that way you're still listening to what your body is telling you. Number 7, try gentle nutrition principles even when life is hectic. There's this one principle of intuitive eating that I really like, and it is centered around gentle nutrition. That means that, of course, it is healthy and good to strive for a balanced, healthy way of eating and to try to add more nutrients to your meals and just eat in a way that is going to support your body as best you can. However, it's good to do that in a gentle way. You don't need to push too much stuff on you if it's difficult, if it's too difficult. So gentle nutrition isn't about trying to make perfect meals, but instead it's about just trying to add a little bit of those nutrient-dense foods when you can. Focus on addition, not restriction. So look at the plate that you currently eat that is your kind of like maybe go-to meal that's super easy for you to make. If you think that it's not that healthy, what can you add to it that's gonna be more nutrient-dense? What source of fiber can you add to it? Can you add a veggie to it? Or can you maybe have a fruit for dessert to kind of compensate? Or what kind of protein can you add to that? Maybe you can make it more plant-based. Some examples, you can add a handful of spinach leaves in a bunch of different dishes, in your smoothies, in your soups, in your sandwich, in your salad, in your lasagna. Another thing you can do is just grab a piece of fruit throughout the day. Make sure that you have a fruit bowl where you keep fruits that are easily accessible and available. And if you work all day, you're out all day, just grab one as you go, but make that easy. Choose the whole grain option when you can. Try to opt for whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, foods that still taste good to you, that you still enjoy, but just with a little bit more nutrients. Keep a bag of frozen veggies that you can toss into whatever meal you're making if you don't have the time to peel and cut fresh vegetables. Sprinkle some nuts and seeds on your salads, or just eat them as a snack for some easy source of protein, fiber, and healthy fats. There's a bunch of things to do. You just need to make sure that you don't see it as one big overwhelming thing, and instead as small little tiny things that you can just mix and match. Number 8, respect your body, even on busy days. So I like to use the word respect when it comes to your body because I think it can be hard for everybody to love their body, and that's okay, but you at least need to respect all the stuff that your body is doing for you, or all the stuff that it is enabling you to do. And in order to do that, you need to take care of it properly in a gentle way, and you also need to be kind to yourself. There's no need to be mean to yourself, to have negative self-talk, negative body image. And it's so important to respect your body because it's gonna free up so much space. Also very, very important, I say this all the time, but I think it can never be said enough, your body size does not determine whether you should be eating or not. You should be eating if you are hungry, if you get hunger signals. That's it. And intuitive eating can help you find those. I have a whole playlist on mindful and intuitive eating with a bunch of different videos on it. If you want to learn more, you can check it out here or in the description. So remember that the goal for intuitive eating is not for you to spend hours upon hours thinking about food. It's actually to get you to be free from all of this and to think about food less. Now it will require a little bit more time in the beginning, but again, doesn't need to be overwhelming. You can totally do a little bit and then that will add on. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and see you on my next one. Bye.